This video is sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command. Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 223. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 DVDs a week. Ow! Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, we got hit with another Black Templars miniature, a whole bunch of other new miniatures, a new combat patrol for the Grey Knights that's a little interesting. But before we head into darkness, have you ever wanted to get lost in the world of Star Trek? Well, today's sponsor can help with that. Star Trek Fleet Command is a cross-platform game that allows you to explore the galaxy with ships and crews spanning the entire Star Trek universe. Take command of ships like the USS Enterprise and engage in battles with Klingons, Romulans, and other famous characters too to earn loot and cool rewards. New players receive all kinds of bonuses to help them start, including new player events that help guide you through how to play the game, and you'll receive the original series Spock as a reward. The game has everything from base building and galaxy exploring to building all kinds of ships, setting my crews to man them, and then taking on all the PvE and PvP missions and challenges on offer. It's crazy how many missions there are. Every little world in this whole galaxy map has 3 or 4 missions with their own little Star Trek stories each. Command the new USS Reliant, strengthen your officers and conquer tough battles, Khan has returned, and the fight for power is about to ignite. If you're interested, use the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to download the game for free on mobile or desktop. And until July 31st, use the code CONRULES to unlock the officer James Tiberius Kirk for free. Get the game and get started today. New Black Templar! I did not see another Black Templar character coming, and the codex is still coming out later this year. There's a very, very poor, tiny chance of getting another Black Templar character, which we almost certainly won't, but if we did, a Terminator Chaplain would be so good. We did just get a brand spanking new Terminator Chaplain for Space Marines, and it looks fine, so we probably wouldn't get another Black Templar Chaplain in Terminator armor, but it would be really cool. It would be really cool, but I guess we'll just have to settle for a Black Templar specific Chaplain, and he looks really, really good. One thing that's interesting is he's able to take the Crozius, the classic Crozius, the symbol of the Chaplains, but he can also take a power sword, and the power sword is seemingly extra attacks according to the article, because he can get, 8 power sword attacks, which is wild. Yeah, 8 2-damage attacks every time he fights. I would hope it's every time he fights. But it's interesting, you don't see extra attacks very often in 40k. It's kind of more of an Age of Sigmar thing, and it's like extra attacks are from the horse, or the creature, or the pet. But the really big exciting thing about this guy is he grants advance and charge. I've been looking at so many of the Chaos close combat armies, and they all have every trick in the book. They have advance and charge, they have surge moves, they have extra consolidation inches, like they get everything you could possibly want out of close combat. We're Black Templars, the loyalists. We kind of play very fair close combat army where we don't get a lot of tricks and a lot of abilities. We just have to play the game. But guess Emperor's Children doesn't have to play the game. They can just do whatever they want. Guess who plays Emperor's Children? Sean. But who knows with the new codex coming out? Maybe the new codex just lets us break all of the rules of Warhammer and just let us rocket the Black Templar into close combat. The article says that this guy is really, really good to attach to a squad of sword brethren to turn them into like a death missile, which sure, but I think that those guys are still going to be better attached to a captain or to Helbrecht himself. I think that you throw this guy onto a big brick of Crusaders and you turn the Crusaders into a missile, because it's hard to get Crusaders where they need to get to. Helbrecht can give them a little bit of help with like their movements, but in general, just vanilla Crusader squads, hard to fit them into transports because it feels silly to buy them a Land Raider, but they don't fit into an Impulsor. And then rhinos are kind of an option, I guess. It is kind of funny how tiny rhinos are nowadays, that Space Marines are so big, because you drive this little tank across the board and then guys get out with a footprint that's twice the size of the tank. I mean, if Helbrecht comes out of it, Helbrecht stands on a 60mm base, which is entirely too much base. but it's so funny to see him and a bunch of guys get out of this tiny little tank. It's like a clown car. This model is super cool. I really like it. And also it seems to come with a bunch of fantastic bits. You get 2 different options for the top of that Crozius, which is really nice because basically that means you get another free chaplain because like you need that weapon is kind of all you need. A skull helmet would be good, but you definitely need that Crozius to turn another model into a chaplain. I like his little iron halo, or it can be replaced with the Templar cross. He's got a bunch of different arm options in the Pyre pistol, a Psyker just on a chain, or a Psyker's skull on a chain. Like, this guy seems really good. I think I'm definitely gonna do some chaplains. I only have like 20 chaplains. I definitely need some more. This guy I need, and then I think I wanna get, there's a name chaplain for the Blood Angels. It's the guy like screaming and squatting with the jump pack, and I want to turn him into a jump pack chaplain because I'm working on some jump pack intercessors. But yeah, there's a lot of chaplains in my future. I've seen some naysaying online about this guy. I think he looks great, but I think we should all compare him to Primaris Chaplain because that is probably the worst Space Marine in the history of Space Marines. Even worse than like some of the gummy chewed on Space Marines from like Rogue Trader and stuff. That model does not look anything like 40k. I have one and I did a fair bit of kit bashing and converting to make it look pretty good, or at least look more 40k. But this guy is just a classic chaplain with his Black Templar just mess of belts around his waist. If you look at like the Sword Brethren squad, it doesn't quite make sense how they've done themselves up. They've got, like, it doesn't, they've belted themselves, but then they also like tied the belt in the knot. It's really weird, but it does look right for the Black Templar. And that skull helm. The only thing I don't love about the skull helm is he's got 3 little studs on his brow, but I feel like it messes with his brow line, so I might just shave those suckers off and like paint a nice scratchy texture on his skull helm. But that's a very minor thing. Other than that, I mean, he's got both of his weapons chained to his body. It's some real good Black Templarness. And I wish, obviously you swap the Pyre pistol for the power sword, but I wish he could have the Pyre pistol too. I want to take Pyre pistols. They're really good. They're really silly. They're really fluffy. That instead of a bolt pistol or even a plasma pistol, it's just a handheld war crime. Like, that's what I want all of my Black Templar to be holding. But so often, it's like, yeah, you could take the Pyre pistol, but obviously just take the plasma gun because it's way better. You could take the Pyre pistol or get a bunch of other really good quality swings out of this model. Like, there's no point to taking the Pyre pistol most of the time, but it is really cool and it looks good. It's just a cute little scaled down flamethrower. But speaking of cute and scaled down, we got to look at the new Grey Knights Combat Patrol, and weirdly enough, it comes with the old school Venerable Dreadnought. I never thought that Games Workshop would ever show this kit off again. Like, it seems like Games Workshop is really pushing these things down because they have been replaced with the new Redemptor chassis Dreadnoughts. I think it would be looking too hard into this to say that this is the last hurrah of the classic Venerable Dreadnought, but it is in the Combat Patrol, and I'd be really interested to see what Grey Knight rules are going to come with this guy. Is it just going to be the index rules, which are not very good, but they do have a good ability where other Grey Knight units within 6 inches of it get reroll hits and reroll wounds of 1, which is pretty good, but the Dreadnought, it's not a Dread Knight, which some people are annoyed that the Dread Knight no longer comes in this box, but it's not particularly survivable, and it's easy for your opponent to just kind of take it out with like 1 or 2 las cannon shots. But it is an interesting inclusion. Now, the one thing that is very sad is this guy presumably can be armed with anything out of the Venerable Dreadnought kit, which is like las cannons or the minigun thing, or he can't even take the missile launcher because the missile launcher only came in the regular kit. Although I think you can still take it in the profile. Dreadnoughts are weird. Every couple of years, Games Workshop would come out with a new Dreadnought box or kit or forge rolled unit that would have different types of options. And even more unfortunate, the Grey Knights have a wonderful history with dreadnoughts, and Forge World, they were able to take a Psi Cannon and the glaive, Doom Glaive? Was it called a Doom Glaive? It was a really stubby looking like butter knife on the end of a dreadnought arm. And it looked kind of silly, but it was Grey Knights specific. And it was really cool to have those Grey Knights bits for your dreadnought. And they don't exist anymore because you can't buy them. And so now Grey Knights get the last hurrah of the dreadnought, but they can't even have the Grey Knights dreadnought. They can only have the generic dreadnought with generic fists and generic weapons. It would have been really cool because they just made that upgrade frame for the Dread Knight to turn it into the baby carrier with Kaldor Drago or whatever it is. But it would have been really cool if on that upgrade sprue, it came with the Dreadnought Psi Cannon and the Dreadnought Doomglaive. Like, that would have been super epic, and it would have been really, really neat. I get that those weapons weren't even good. Like, there were better Dreadnought weapons available, but it's cool if it's the specific, unique to the Grey Knights weapons on your Dreadnoughts. And I recently got a Grey Knights Dreadnoughts. I bought this sucker on eBay kind of on a whim. This guy, the reason I bought it is because he came with a left and a right autocannon, and these are hard to get. The last hurrah of this weapon loadout was 8th edition, where double autocannon was almost viable, but it's hard to get these arms. And this really well put together Dreadnought came with 2 of them, and the Grey Knight Dreadnought body chassis, which is a really, really cool version of the old squatty Dreadnought. I really love the kind of like animal toes that this thing has. I love the gigantic head sticking out of the front of this thing as opposed to just the coffin face. Whoever originally put this together put on a ton of the old brass etchings for Inquisition, which really, really do a good job of turning this thing into Grey Knights. So, and it's just really well painted, which is usually a really good sign when buying used miniatures. Is if it's well painted, it's probably well put together. And you're really looking for well put together when it comes to Forge World models, because Forge World is a little bit of a nightmare, and I don't want to adopt that nightmare. I believe with the double weapon options or the double ranged options, this would be considered a Mortis pattern Dreadnought. But I mean, I kind of just want it for the bits, but it's so well put together that I almost don't want to change anything about it. But it is cool to get the Grey Knights Dreadnought body. I do have a Grey Knights army. I've got like 30 Terminators sitting in a box. And so I would like to do a Grey Knights army one day. And it would be cool. It would be really cool to have these old school models. And I probably would try to track down the Psi Cannon and the Doomglaive and just count as probably las cannon and missile launcher, because that's probably the best option available to a classic Dreadnought at this point. But I don't know, it's weird. This Combat Patrol is weird. I'm assuming that they threw it in the box because there's not that much Grey Knights anything, and so it's just the only option they had to pad this box out. And honestly, I don't know if it's a great idea to buy this box. Maybe if it's a wonderful discount that you don't mind getting that Dreadnought you're probably not going to use and getting another kit for free would be like the thing that really pushes this box over the edge. But yeah, the days of this style of Dreadnought are kinda over, which is a little bit sad. Although now that I really examine this thing, I love the torso with the head poking out of the middle. The legs are pretty darn small. Those are some really, really wimpy legs. If I could change anything about this particular model, I would like probably double the size of those legs just to make it a little bit more reasonable looking. But it is cool. And I do like the Redemptor Dreadnought a lot, but I don't like that it has knees and elbows. I feel like knees and elbows make it feel a little bit too high-tech, where the old Dreadnoughts don't look like much of anything. Like, they don't really look human, which is good for what a Dreadnought should look like. They should look really awful. Like, there should be no humanity left when a Space Marine is entombed in a suit of Dreadnought sarcophagus. 40K is coming out with a lot of grim dark miniatures lately, but you know what game doesn't have grim dark miniatures, or maybe just grim dark in a different kind of a way? Infinity by Corvus Belli, and they showed off some new releases for July, and some of them I'm probably gonna buy them. The Dire Foes Mission Pack 15 Barren Lands contains 2 miniatures that I kind of do need for both of my armies. I play Pan-Oceania, and I'm working on some JSA, Japanese Successionist Army. And so one of these models is a Fusilier, which is perfect because I ended up with a very Fusilier heavy squad of Pano. And so just having one extra fancy Fusilier is going to be great for that. But then there is also I want to get the name right because it's crazy, Kaizuko Yoriko Oda, armed with combi rifle. This would also go really well with what I have from Sandtrap for my JSA. My JSA, I'm doing a lot of robots and tags, but I do still need a bunch of piddly, like normal guys to actually do all of the mission and the gameplay stuff. But speaking of mission, this pack, Badlands, actually comes with a objective token, the HVT High Value Target in the Field Scientist, which is a really funky, punky looking scientist miniature. Like, she's got kind of a cat suit on, but then she's got her lunch pail and her little tricorder from Star Trek and a giant fan, like power plant on her back. I don't know exactly the lore of this figure. I don't know if it has lore. I think it is just a scientist who like goes from planet to planet and looks for artifacts. But it is a really, really fun, like I do like nice objectives and just nice things. And this would make a really, really nice piece. I actually already bought a bunch of Infinity models that I want to use as objective tokens. And this is gonna go right on the pile that is steadily growing and I desperately need to start working on. Next up, we got some Vestral Mobile Artillery Regiments, which is it's for the humans, which is Ariadna. Ariadna, their whole thing is they were colonists who went out into space, but then instead of like when the rest of Earth super like maximum light speeded technology-wise into the future, Ariadna kind of didn't. And so they're a little bit stuck in the 21st century, but the 21st century with some mech suits and werewolves. Which, who wouldn't want that? These are just 2 little tractors. One of them has a cannon, and the other one has a sniper rifle, and what pairs really nicely with a sniper rifle, but a missile launcher. A match made in heaven. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Then we got a new Nomads miniature in the Go Pods. This is for Bakunin or Corregidor. Oh no, it's Tunguska. But this is a Go Pod. And it looks, if anybody read the Star Wars Expanded, like before the Revenge of the Sith and the Phantom Menace and all of those, there was the twin pod car from Cloud City, but then there was like the Bespin fighter pod, which was a single pod ship with 2 little wings coming off the side, and it looked a lot like this. It didn't come with a little remote robot that flies around next to it, but it did look a lot like this. I do like how the flying vehicles for Infinity they look incredibly comfortable. Like they really do. Like he's padded up to the 9s. He's very well insulated. It looks like he can barely see out of this thing, but he's probably got tons and tons of monitors inside to let him actually see where he's going. We've got like repulsor lift technology on the bottom, and then we got wings on top of wings on top of wings. It's a really fun looking vehicle. And then what's hilarious is it's got this nice round profile, but then it has like a pistol just sticking out the front of the sucker. And the little flying stand. It'll be interesting to play with these guys and see how flyers feel in the game. I assume it'll just feel like a fly vehicle from 40k as opposed to an actual flyer. Hopefully nothing ever feels like flyers from Warhammer 40,000 because it really doesn't work. If you think about even a full army game is still kind of a skirmish game, and to actually represent like a fighter jet, it would just be a blink and you'll miss it. They swoop over the battlefield. It would not be like a dogfight over a 44 by 60 inch map. But this guy is very cool, and I do like the Nomads. But something I might like a little bit more than the Nomads are Hakislam and 2 punky guys, Scarface and Cordelia, Mercenary Armored Team. This is the answer to my question of what do I take with my biker gang? Because typically with Hakislam, they have a very like correct military force of like desert clad soldiers, and it doesn't seem to fit at all alongside bikers with hot rod flames and leather jackets. These guys would fit alongside bikers with leather jackets. These guys are super cool. It's a reimagining of existing miniatures, but I like these guys more. The old miniature for Cordelia was kind of interesting. I think it was actually kind of an interpretation of Ramona from Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but the new model is really cool. And man, she's got that gigantic looking rifle up in one hand. And then the tag is just ready to go with that gigantic hammer and a minigun strapped to his back. And then one thing with the mech suits for Infinity is they have like little arms that are piloting the big arms, but it's hard to see it on this model because the little arms are like up, just reaching up so high to try to operate the upper arms. And so it does create a very interesting look. These two miniatures are very, very cool. What sectorial can they come in? Or presumably, since they're mercenaries, I would think they could go with any of them. Yeah, it looks like they can go with absolutely all of them, which is perfect because I want bikers and then I want these guys. And I don't know what else I need, but hopefully that's 2,000 points or whatever a classic game of Infinity is. But speaking of a classic game of Infinity, there is another unit in the Imperial Service Expansion Pack Beta, which is for, does it give the sectorial? The Judicial Corps, the elite troops enforcing order with ruthless precision. I really like these guys because one of the guns, what was it called? Adhesive launcher rifle. So it launches adhesive, which kind of makes sense because it's supposed to be kind of a police operating unit. I really like the look of the operator. And then the remote, which is like the little fella that follows him along, is playing air guitar, which is kind of great. And then we just got these two stationary guns. And one of the guns has a little something laying next to it. And I'm sure it's just a backpack, but for some reason the colors they pick, it kind of looks like a heart. Like there's just a bloody heart laying next to this thing. It is a very interesting looking little pack. I wonder if those sentry guns are going to be able to move or you just plant them down and hope for the best. One thing I do like a lot about Yu Jing, which is like the China faction of Infinity, is all of their armor is always yellow and then the undersuit is always black. And so it looks like everything is DeWalt, like DeWalt brand army, which is kind of fun. I like Infinity models so much that I have a lot of Infinity models, but for right now I'm doing Pano and then probably JSA and then Hak Islam and then Nomads. And then I haven't made like a firm decision on what I'm gonna do other than that after I get done with all the things that I need to get done. But speaking of things that are already done, EonsOfBattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is the place to find our merch like the EOB dice. We got wet pallets, we got water slide decals, we got basing, toppers, and bits, and is the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain packs or any previous pack we have ever made. This June, we made an absolute monstrosity. What better way to show off that a battle is serious business than a god machine already dead on the ground? These shattered remains create thematic line of sight blocking and ruin terrain perfect for grimdark games. With a titanic rigor mortis claw, silent cannon, and lifeless eyes, this beast won't be doing much but looking pretty while those who are still kicking win the day. This ruined titan fits right at home with our previous crash spaceship terrain. So many new models, not nearly enough time. I have been working on my Necrons because I got some tournaments coming up. I have been working on my Black Templar because that codex is going to come out and I want to experience that codex. I really want to get working on my Infinity armies. I have a couple of other miniatures games like Blood and Plunder that I'm working on. I got Demon Ship, which is an interesting game from Blackside Studios. Like everything is happening right now and there's only me for painting, but I'll get through it. I'll get through it and then I'll play all of these games and it'll be great. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to download Star Trek Fleet Command using the link in the description or scanning the QR code to get started exploring the galaxy today.